Shabbat Shalom. I never know when returning back from Israel whether to say it is good to be back or good to be home, because we have a sense of feeling at home in Israel, of course, and it feels good to be here too, which is also home. I want to just bring two ideas from the Torah portion. One of them I mentioned as we celebrated Gladys's 29th birthday, which is, and both of these ideas come from this moment in the Torah portion when God says to Moshe, I want you to go up in the mountain and look. I've always been a little bit uncomfortable just by the way where God says, look at the land, but you're not going to go there. It seems an exercise in cruelty, but nonetheless, God says, look at the land, you're not going to go there. And Moshe's reaction is to say, Ufekod Adonai Eloheu ruchod lecho basar ish al heida, please make sure you appoint someone in my stead. And I think the two ideas that I want to emphasize this morning, one is what we talked about with Gladys, is this sense of appoint someone who knows each and every part of the Jewish people, and in the words of the Kedushas Levi, who can find love for and give that love and affection in equal measure. And one of the things that I can tell you about the experience of the Maccabiah is that I return with this renewed awe and renewed love for the Jewish people and for what the state of Israel makes possible. It is an extraordinary thing to gather Jews from 80 different countries. Jews from places where you just don't think about there being Jews. There was a participant from Vietnam, from Japan. There was a team from Cuba. There was a cricket team from India, from Azerbaijan, which I just love saying out loud, Azerbaijan. There were participants from 80 different countries all around the world who feel a sense of kinship and love and shared destiny with the Jewish people and who came to compete in the games. There were more than 10,000 participants. This is actually the third largest the third largest sports festival in the world. The Olympics are the largest, and then I think it may be the Pan Am Games or something, and then the Maccabiah Games. There are competitions for youth, for junior, for the open, which is sort of the top the top team you can field and the top competitors, and then masters age groups and a para-Olympic competition, which is growing and growing, and all united by a love of Israel and a love of Jewish people and a love of sports. That was just inspiring and extraordinary, and was an honor to take part in. The other thing, and I can tell you lots and lots of stories, feel free to ask, but I'll leave it at that for now. The other teaching that comes out of this one particular moment is there's a question asked in the Midrash. The Midrash wants to know, why does this command from God go up and you're gonna die and you have to, and Moshe says, okay, we have to appoint someone else. Why does this happen right after the claim of Benot Slofchad, okay, of the daughters of Slofchad, who come forward, as we said before, and say, I want to take part in the land? And one of the answers imagines it as follows, that one of the things we learned, the Benot Slofchad say, hey, our father was not one of Bnei Korach. He was not one of those who were part of the rebellion. He died for his own sin in the wilderness. And the implication being we shouldn't be punished on behalf of our father. one of the rabbis hears this and says, and so the rabbis imagine that Moshe says, aha, they just got a positive answer. Okay, they get, the answer was yes, you can have a claim in the land. Moshe says, I can now ask for my needs. Okay, and so the command God says to go up and essentially say no comes from this feeling within Moshe of, I'm going to ask, can I please stay in the land? Can I have my part? And there's one of the rabbis says, but wait a minute, Moshe, what do we know? What's the one thing that we know about Moshe from the Torah? He is the most humble. That's the only thing that we're told in terms of adjectives. He's the most humble person to ever live. And so this rabbi says, well, how can it be that Moshe at this moment asks for his own needs? And he says that what happens in that moment is Moshe actually said to himself all along, I am not worthy of asking for my own needs because I know that I am far from perfect. I get angry, I do all these things. But when he sees that Benot Slavchad, who are the daughters of someone who has died in his own sin, for his own sin, in other words, they are the descendants of flawed people, and they get a positive response, then Moshe says, I guess it's okay for me to ask too. I guess that I'm also worthy of placing my requests before God. And there's a beautiful, just couple of lines that I want to read about this. Where the Midrash says, Af al pi sheyodea shenigzera gzera, even though Moshe knows that there's a decree that's been leveled against him, that he's not going into the land, lo mana atzmo min harachamim. He didn't prevent himself from believing in God's compassion. Kal v'chomer l'sha'ar b'nei adam. How much the more so, says the Midrash, for the rest of us who are not Moshe Rabbeinu. Shelo yimneu atzmam mitfila v'tachonunim al bechol etzara. That we should not ever prevent ourselves from prayer, from requests, from asking for what we need. I think there's an extraordinary insight in that. When we think about tefillah, it's an outlandish prospect. Stand before the master of the world and ask for what you need. But we don't. Very often we don't. We say to ourselves, well, I can ask for the world, I can ask for others, but somehow I don't, God wouldn't listen to me. And that is what the Hasidim call a anava psula, a false humility. We should never believe ourselves beyond compassion and beyond prayer. And Moshe, at the end of his life, continues to believe in that possibility of rachamim. And it's a blessing and a dugma for all of us. Shabbat shalom. We